Hello. Today we'll be looking at reading analog and digital energy meters. The technology for these meters have evolved over the years, from analog to digital to smart meters. Now, some of the changes that have occurred are ease of reading. Digital meters are much easier to read than analog meters. The amount of data that you can get from the meter. The direction of energy flow, meaning whilst in the past the meters would only be able to record energy being consumed by the customer can now generate energy and pass it back to the utility. So it allows flow in both directions, and the meters can register or record the net energy being consumed. And of course, access to readings, meaning whilst analog meters had to be read on spot, smart meters, on the other hand, can be read remotely by the utility. So we can access the readings remotely with the current technologies in energy meters. Now, digital meter reading. For digital meters, or electronic meters as they are sometimes called, they provide a direct readout of the energy consumed. And accessing these meters can also provide consumption data for different times of the day. So if a customer wishes to know how much they are consuming during the daylight hours as against during the night hours, the meter can provide that type of information. The meter may also provide the power consumption at any given point in time. So by looking at the meter, you can tell what the consumption is at a particular time of the day in your home. These are examples of digital meters. The meter on the left, we're seeing the energy being consumed, or that has been consumed. And if we note, that's the reading. And we know that it's the energy being consumed, because if you look here, you see the units, kilowatt hours. Over here, we're seeing 0.545. And if you look carefully, you're seeing kilowatts. So 1 meter is showing the consumption, and one is showing what is being used, or the consumption, energy consumption over time. One is giving a power reading. To determine the energy consumed during a set period, in most jurisdictions, energy energy meters are read on a monthly basis. In other countries, it's read every 2 months, and still yet in other jurisdictions, it's read every quarter. But to determine the energy consumed within a set period, we simply look at the current reading minus the previous reading. So if a customer had a previous reading of 4,867, then the energy consumed would be 5,036 based on the meter we saw earlier, minus the 4,867, which gives us 169 kilowatt hours. For smart meters, similar to digital meters, they are read directly based on the numerical display. However, with smart meters, there's a lot more information that can be had. Information such as the date and time, the current load, and reactive power, something that we do not readily think about, but it can give us that reading. And each of these readings will be scrolled by the smart meter. So starting from 1 all the way up to 13, it will give you 13 different readings. So the first reading may be the energy. The second reading may be the date. The third reading may be the current consumption. Then you may have reactive power. all the way up to 13. So there's a lot of data, a lot of information that can be ascertained from the smart meter. And in most instances, there's a constant link between the smart meter and the network. So the smart meter is actually communicating with the utility company, which is why they are able to read the meters remotely. For your analog meters, these consist of 4 or 5 clock phases, numbered from 0 to 9. So each of the clock phases will be numbered from 0 to 9. Here we have a 4-dial watt-hour meter, and here we have a 5-dial watt-hour meter. Regardless of the number of dials, the method by which we read them remains the same. So let's look at how we go about reading the analog meter. Now the pointer on each clock, as I mentioned before, rotates from 0 to 9. The direction of rotation on adjacent clocks are alternated. So if on one clock it is going clockwise, on the adjacent clock it will be going counterclockwise. And this is as a result of the gearing mechanism that is used inside the meter. And readings are done from the clock on the left of the meter to the one on the right. And this facilitates our usual numbering systems of tens, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, etc. And the current reading is derived by noting the numbers indicated by the pointer on each clock. Now, if the pointer is between two numbers on the clock, the lower of the two should be taken. So if it's between 6 and 7, then we will take 6 as the reading. And we determine the energy consumed in the same way as with the other meters. Current minus previous. So let's look at how we go about reading the meter shown. So we look at the first clock. Remember, we're going from left to right. This first reading, it is showing that it's slightly between 1 and 0. So the first reading would be 0 because we'll take the lower. For the next clock, it is clearly between 8 and 9. So the next reading would be 8. The next clock, it's between 6 and 5. So the next number would be 5. And for the final clock, it is showing that it is on 5 or just below 5. So if we take 4 or 5, the customer would not have lost out on anything. All right, because if we take 5 for this reading, it means that they would have prepaid for that 1 kilowatt hour, which would have been misread. So the reading for this meter is 854 or 55 kilowatt hours. If we look on a 5-dial watt-hour meter, again, first one, it's 9 because it's not fully on 0. Next, it's between 0 and 9, so we have 9, but it's actually on 9. And bear in mind, for this second one, just to clarify, we're going from 0 around, so it has passed 8, and it is just above the 9, so it would be on 9. The 0 really, in this instance, the 0 would have represented 10. Yes? For the second one, it's between 1 and 2, and therefore this would be 1. Between 7 and 8, so we'll have 7, and between 6 and 7, so we'll have 6. So the reading here is 99,176 kilowatt hours. In summary, digital meters provide direct readout of the cumulative energy consumed. Smart meters meters while allowing the same type of readout as digital meters simply provides additional operational information. And analog meters are read from the clock faces going from left to right. Thank you for your attention.